Ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 Champions League final is officially here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for the final match between Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid. Both of these teams have already gone through so much in this Champions League, and in today's video I'm going to be looking at both of their seasons in their respective leagues and also how they've been performing in the Champions League. I'm also going to go over a little bit of each of the club's history, and finally my final predictions for the match between Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid. If you guys have been keeping up with my videos throughout this whole Champions League, from the group stages to the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, we have been covering every single match day. And if you guys have enjoyed all the content, remember to leave a like on the video. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting off with Borussia Dortmund, as they are definitely the underdogs in this game, as pretty much any team that comes up against Real Madrid would be considered underdogs. Throughout history, Borussia Dortmund have been a very successful German club. They're very well known, and they are definitely the second best and second most successful German club behind the German giants Bayern Munich. They have already won the Champions League one time in 1996. And in terms of their domestic trophies, they have won the Bundesliga a total of 8 times. They have also won the DFB Pokal 5 times, and they have also won the German Super Cup a total of 6 times. So Borussia Dortmund do have a pretty stacked trophy cabinet, and they are definitely a very popular club. If you were to ask most fans around the world, I think everyone would know about Borussia Dortmund. In terms of their Champions League success in the last decade, to be honest, they haven't been the best. Their last time that they were in a cup final was in 2013, where they were coming up against Bayern Munich, and they did ultimately end up losing that game. And since then, they have obviously made it fairly far. We've seen them in the round of 16 many times, in the quarterfinals, but they haven't made another Champions League final appearance since 2013. And in terms of their domestic performances, for the last 11 years in a row, we've seen Bayern Munich win the Bundesliga title. And this year, we saw a little bit of a change where we saw Bayer Leverkusen win the title. But sadly for Borussia Dortmund, they have gotten close many times. They have been second place, but they haven't been able to take that top spot. Last season, they were very close, but they just fell short. And sadly for Borussia Dortmund, this season has not been kind to them in the Bundesliga, where they finished in 5th place, which is actually one of their worst finishes in the last decade. But if we take a step back from the Bundesliga and we look at their Champions League performances, in my opinion, Borussia Dortmund have been the best team in the world. If we look back in the group stages, they were actually in the group of death with the likes of PSG, AC Milan, and Newcastle. And most people, if not everyone, had Borussia Dortmund finishing last place in this group. Borussia Dortmund did end up losing their first game against PSG in the group stages. But after this first game, we saw nothing but positive results, with them beating AC Milan, beating Newcastle, and even drawing in the second game against PSG. They ended up finishing first place in their group to advance to the round of 16. In the round of 16, Borussia Dortmund ended up drawing against PSV Eindhoven, which most people thought was a very easy matchup. But PSV Eindhoven won the Eredivisie, and they finished the season with only one loss in that league. So they are a very good team, a very informed team. But Borussia Dortmund made no mistakes. In the first game, it did end in a 1-1 draw where they were playing in the Netherlands. But in the second game, they were playing in Germany. Borussia Dortmund had that advantage, and they did end up winning the game. But it was in the quarterfinals where most people thought that Borussia Dortmund's journey would end. They were coming up against Atletico Madrid, who, to be fair, at that time in the La Liga, Atletico Madrid were on very poor form. But they're still a very strong team. They have a lot of history in this competition, and with Diego Simeone as their manager, you knew that Atletico Madrid were gonna bring all the smoke. In the first match, which was being played in the Metropolitano, Atletico Madrid did end up winning the game 2-1. But Borussia Dortmund were clearly the better team. They had almost 70% possession, and in my opinion, they should have definitely at least drew that game. But in the second leg, being played at Signal Iduna Park, with all the home fans backing Borussia Dortmund, they made no mistake. They ended up winning the game 4-2. We saw some incredible goals by Julian Brandt, by Sabitzer, by Ian Maatsen, and they 100% deserved to win that game. Once again, in the semifinals, Borussia Dortmund were the underdogs, as they were coming up against PSG, who most people thought would 100% get into the final game. But Borussia Dortmund, in both legs, ended up scoring 1 goal. They defended incredibly well against PSG, completely shut down Mbappe, Barcola, Dembele. They were completely shut down. Borussia Dortmund played very compact defense. We saw some amazing goals, and now they are playing in the final match where they will be versing Real Madrid. Moving on to Real Madrid, they are obviously the most successful club in history in this competition, as they have won the Champions League a total of 14 times. A crazy track record for Real Madrid, and this could be their 15th Champions League title. In terms of their club's achievements throughout history, we have seen them won Club World Cups, Super Cups, UEFA Cups. They have won 35 La Liga titles, another 20 Copa del Reys, and their trophy cabinet is absolutely crazy. In the last decade, Borussia Dortmund haven't been that successful in the Champions League, but on the other hand, Real Madrid, within the last decade, have won the Champions League a total of 5 times. They have been the most successful club in recent years, and we have seen them produce some of the most legendary players that we will ever see. Real Madrid are just one of those teams where even if they're not performing well, they may have an off night, they may have a few players injured, but they're one of those teams where in the Champions League, no matter what the odds are against them, they always have a chance. And if they have that chance, they definitely can win it. We've seen many times in recent years Carlo Ancelotti play very different styles of football, sometimes not the most beautiful football, but he gets the job done, he wins them trophies, and that is why they're definitely the favorites in this final match. Real Madrid have also had a very successful season this year in the La Liga, as they have finished in first place. And even though at the start of the season they were struggling a little bit, they were drawing a few games, and they were actually in second place behind Girona, but for the second half of the season, they have been absolutely incredible. They have been winning almost every single game in every competition they play, and they have only had one loss in this whole La Liga season. If we go back to the group stages, Real Madrid were in a pretty difficult group. Nowhere near as difficult as Borussia Dortmund's group, but they still had some fairly good teams like Napoli, Braga, and Union Berlin. But they did obviously end up finishing first place in the group. They won every single game they played, finishing with 18 points. And in the group stages, they were definitely the best team. But it was actually in the knockout stages where we first saw signs of struggle from Real Madrid, where in the first match, they were coming up against RB Leipzig, who most people thought that this would be a fairly simple task for Real Madrid. But this was actually much more difficult than expected. If we look at the first leg against RB Leipzig, it was very 50-50. And in my opinion, RB Leipzig actually should have won this game, as they had a goal disallowed very early on, which could have changed the whole game. And in the second leg, where Real Madrid were playing at home, it did end in a 1-1 draw. But again, RB Leipzig performed very well. In my opinion, throughout both legs, they were the better team. But again, Real Madrid, they don't need to be the favorites, they don't need to play well, but they still end up getting it done, and that's exactly what they did. Moving on to the quarterfinals, most people thought that this is where Real Madrid would get eliminated, because after those unconvincing performances against RB Leipzig, now they were coming up against Manchester City, the current Champions League holders, and probably the best team in the world. But the first leg was a crazy encounter and ended in a 3-3 draw where they were playing at the Bernabeu, and Real Madrid had everything to play for in the second leg. In the second leg, with Man City playing at home, most people thought that they would get it done. But Real Madrid scored a very early goal by Rodrigo in the 12th minute, and after that, they went into a very compact formation. They were defending for almost the rest of the 80 minutes, but they defended well. They only conceded one goal. It did end up going into extra time and eventually to penalties. And in penalties, Real Madrid were the better team. They came out on top to advance to the semifinals. In the semifinals, Real Madrid were coming up against German giants Bayern Munich, who again, most people thought would be very tough for Real Madrid. And it was very tough in the first leg, as it did end in a 2-2 draw in the Allianz Arena. But in the second leg, where Real Madrid were playing at home, Bayern Munich ended up scoring the first goal, a beautiful goal by Alphonso Davies. But in typical Real Madrid fashion, Joselu scored 2 goals in the last 3 minutes of the game to win them the game, win them the tie, and to advance to the Champions League final once again. In my opinion, this will be a very close match. Obviously, it is being played in Wembley Stadium. It will be an incredible atmosphere, and I'm not really sure who is going to win. Obviously, if we look at history and the odds across both teams, Real Madrid are definitely the favorites in this matchup. Borussia Dortmund are definitely the underdogs, as they've been throughout this whole Champions League, but they have been proving every single step of the way in the group stages, the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semifinals, that even though they are the underdogs, they have what it takes to make it all the way. and I think they definitely have a good chance to win this game. In my opinion, Real Madrid can definitely win this game, and they definitely have what it takes. We've seen it before, and it is very possible that we see it again. But I've been doubting Borussia Dortmund throughout every single match day of this Champions League. I've had them losing in almost every single match day, and I don't think I'm going to doubt them anymore, because I think Borussia Dortmund are going to shock everyone in the world, and they are going to beat Real Madrid and win this Champions League. It will be a very close game. In my opinion, Real Madrid will play well. Borussia Dortmund are going to be better. They're going to be more compact. They're going to play better. They're going to have better chemistry. And I just feel like they want it more. After what they've accomplished so far in this Champions League, I just don't see them getting this far to throw it away once again. I do think they will win this game. It will be very, very close. 1 goal for Real Madrid, 2 goals for Borussia Dortmund, and Borussia Dortmund will win the 2024 Champions League. And those are my predictions for the 2024 Champions League final, where I do think Borussia Dortmund will beat Real Madrid 2-1, and they will be crowned the UCL champions. If you guys agree with my prediction, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my prediction and you think Real Madrid will win the Champions League once again, remember to leave your score predictions in the comments down below. If you guys have enjoyed all my videos throughout this whole Champions League, from the group stages to the knockout stages to now the Champions League final, remember to leave a like on the video. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.